What's up, y'all? UFC Tampa happened last night, and it was an amazing fight night, pay-per-view level fight night, I'd say. This is what I paid $12 a month for ESPN Plus for as an MMA fan. I did kind of bad on picks on this card. I'm not gonna lie. I went 8-15. I picked some underdogs, but either way, it was a good card, especially if you pick the OGs. A lot of veterans won. Almost every veteran won, and with a finish at that, except for Davy Grant. Still put up a great performance, though. I'll get into that. But Michael Johnson, Dustin Jacoby, Cub Swanson, all these guys got finishes. Comment y'all's parlays and let me know if they hit or if they didn't hit. And I'm just going to get right into this, starting with Josephine Knudsen versus Piero Rodriguez. I feel like almost everyone picked Josephine Knudsen to win this fight. But Piero Rodriguez came in and wrestled her. I mean, at this point, we kind of expect this with women's fights. Or that's what I feel like. We all kind of pick one girl to win, or we think one girl's going to win, and the opposite happens. So from now on, I feel like I'm just going to pick the other girl. You know what I mean? But either way, Davy Grant versus Ramon Tavares. This was a great fight. Ramon Tavares, he was getting too comfortable in this fight, thinking he was winning when they were 1-1. But Davy Grant, he had the completely opposite mentality in the third. He came out there and completely dominated. He didn't leave any doubts by the end of the fight and took that decision. So good for Davy Grant. Good win for a veteran. You know what I mean? Moving on to the next fight, though. Miranda Maverick versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Kind of a snoozer. Miranda just goes out there and gets the submission. Not very competitive. Kind of unimpressive performance from Miranda Maverick. But either way, moving on to Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima is a very good prospect. I think he will be a ranked featherweight in the future for sure. Miles Johns, he put up a great performance in this fight. And it was one of the closest fights on the card in terms of it being a back and forth competitive matchup. But Miles, he was out there getting lower than Lima, trying to use his jab overhand, get that going. Lima, on the other hand, he had Miles hurt on a few occasions in this fight. The kicks were working for him, but he just kind of stopped using them at some point in the fight. He fell into Miles' boxing game a little bit too much. And I just feel like he wasn't too urgent for a finish. But maybe he just didn't want to risk getting finished against Miles on, like the last card, like everyone's saying. Everyone's going to remember this card the longest until the next year. But either way, trips in the BJJ threat was there for Lima. He also showed great pacing, in my opinion. Versatility, great technique, high IQ. I know I'm kind of glazing here, but he looked really good in this fight. He was also speaking clear English in the post-fight. That's great. We like English-speaking people, things like that. Sorry, I know I probably sound ignorant saying that as an American, whatever, but it's easier in terms of promotability, you know what I mean? Athletic build, this guy too. He also beat Muhammad Naimov in his debut. So, come on, you guys. This guy, he could be a star in the making. And imagine Lima versus maybe John Silva down the line. Woo! Heater matchup. Come on, you guys. But moving on, Sean Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. I told you guys this would be the closest fight, and I was right in terms of who to pick. But then when the fight actually happened, you know what? I was wrong. Actually. I was completely wrong because I thought MMA would pull through on this one. I really don't know what I was thinking. MMA math never adds up. You know what I mean? But I think Padilla in this fight was the underdog. But, man, I just feel stupid. I feel like I should have picked Sean Woodson, the alien. His reach is really what I feel like what won him the fight. He was utilizing it very well with his striking. He showed his experience in this fight over Padilla. He was also riding a 5-fight win streak going into this one. And I just feel like Padilla got exposed badly for his chin. You know what I mean? And not even just that, but poor composure. He couldn't handle the pressure when Sean Woodson was pouring it on him and pressing him up against the fence with boxing combinations. And at a certain point, he just looked to mentally check out Padilla. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I didn't see a moment where he tried to reset. You know what I mean? There wasn't any head movement from Padilla either at any point. No footwork to move out the way, in and out movement, and just like no defense, no vision. Not even trying to block oncoming shots, parry, etc. Things like this, simple stuff. But Woodson, he gritted down, he stayed calm, put together some nasty combos, and got him up against the fence, follow-up shots. Great finish from Woodson. He's ugly, but he's kind of gets unnecessary hate. And now he's on a 6-fight win streak, so I wonder who he gets paired up against next. Moving on to another great fight on the card, Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. Drakkar, I'm not sure whoever picked him. He is a good fighter, but he's just kind of mid. You know what I mean? Joel, in this fight, he looked way bigger than Klose. Klose, he started off strong, too. He had good leg kicks. He was pumping the jab. Joel hurt Klose at some point, and then Klose got a takedown, but Joel was able to get up pretty quickly. Joel hurt him with a knee and then just threw some follow-up shots against the fence. I feel like the ref could have jumped in sooner, but nonetheless, Spain has another star on their hands, right up there with Ilia Topuria. But, first round KO for Alvarez, great finish. And he's going to be a problem in the lightweight division for sure. Moving on, Michael Johnson versus Ottman Azaitar. This was a tricky matchup to pick too because we all know Michael Johnson, you're never really sure when he'll show up. But he sure did show up and show out on this fight. He hurt Ottman 2 times. The first time he hit him with a right hand, and he hurt Ottman pretty badly. And then the second shot that he hurt him with was a solid jab. He just popped it out right on Ottman and had him on Bambi legs after that. They would get into some wild exchanges, going all out in the boxing. But Michael Johnson would basically get the better end of these exchanges and brutalized Ottman badly. He blocked a hook coming to his left side with a high guard, came back with a check right hook, came right on the chin of Ottman Azaitar. Sweet KO from Michael Johnson. Great feel-good moment on the mic, too, for Michael Johnson, talking about his family and possibly making a run at the belt. We don't really know if that's going to happen, but just a good moment for Michael Johnson and a great win, and I feel like we're all happy to see Michael Johnson win. Moving on, Navajo Sterling versus Tuco Tucos. Navajo in this fight, I feel like he showed that he has a boxing weakness for sure and a wrestling weakness. We didn't really see him throw the jab or use too many combos. I would have liked to try and see him split the guard of Tuco. I feel like that was possible, jab 2, jab, uppercut right down the middle. But either way, he's more of a kickboxer anyway. Also, he kind of had bad takedown defense in this fight. But in the beginning, Navajo in the first round, I thought he was going to finish Tuco. He was landing to the body at will. Teep kicks, round kicks, lighten up his legs. Just any type of shot he wanted, he was landing it on Tuco Tucos. But at a certain point, Tuco, he just kind of started tanking the shots and just kind of eating them. Made it to the second round. Comes out in the second round, exposes Navajo Sterling's wrestling weakness, and Navajo just kind of looked like he was losing focus on the ground. He was kind of getting frustrated, it looked like. He was able to get up a good bit of the time from bottom in the beginning, but I feel like at a certain point it was starting to annoy him a little bit. He gave up his back at a certain point too in the second round. But he was just kind of looking dejected heading into the third. But went back out in the third, won the third round. Overall, though, I feel like Tuco, he was a lot tougher than we expected him to be out there. I think we all thought Navajo would have went out there and finished Tuco, but he's very durable. This is a competitive fight for sure. Good win for Navajo. Great to show that he could go 3 rounds and handle 3 rounds and be able to be capable off his back on the ground and be in these uncomfortable positions and not get finished by someone like Tuco Tucos. So, good fight. Great fight. Well, not great, but good fight. Adrian Yanez versus Daniel Marcos. This was an excellent fight. I hope this got a bonus. It was a back and forth, but Yanez really needs to mix up his striking game. I think he threw 1 kick, and maybe he got attempted 1 takedown, and he clinched at one point, but I wish he would do these things more to just kind of scramble people's brains in a fight and, capitalize on his boxing prowess and just mixing up all these different, MMA tools to make his boxing work better. But Daniel Marcos won the first round for sure with all that, the strikes and the takedowns. But Yanez, in my opinion, won the second. He was landing the better boxing combinations and the more powerful shots. But then it all came down to the third round, and Daniel Marcos went out there, used everything he had in the tool bag. He was getting takedowns. He was striking good. He used pretty much everything. And I picked Yanez in this fight. I'm not going to lie, though. Yanez, in the second round, he had really good head movement. His boxing was getting better each round. But Marcos was just starting to time him better, especially in the second. He was starting to make reads towards the end. His combos were getting better. The takedowns were there the whole fight. He was kind of inactive once he was getting the fight to the ground, Daniel Marcos. I wish he would have threatened more submissions or did more ground and pound. But either way, props to him. His X factor in this fight was the wrestling. That's what got him the victory. I feel like Yanez just got too comfortable fighting off the back foot. Either way, though, this was a great fight, a competitive fight. But Marcos won pretty clearly. Next up, Vitor Petrino versus Dustin Jacoby. After the last fight, the Adrian Yanez fight, I was pretty upset because I picked Yanez to win. So I was kind of getting bored at this point. It started pretty slow. Vitor Petrino, he was using low kicks, using the jab. He hurt Jacoby at one point, but Jacoby really wasn't throwing too much. I think that's just because of how powerful both guys are. At a certain point, Jacoby got hurt badly with a right hand from Petrino. But then they just kind of made it out to the third round. They were like smiling at each other, missing each other's shots and stuff, barely grazing each other, things like that. Because they know how powerful each guy is. Then, out of nowhere, Dustin Jacoby comes through, lands a right hand, completely sleeps Vitor Petrino. I was so shocked when this KO happened. I was baffled. I couldn't believe it. I feel like Petrino, this is a very bad look for him, especially after the Anthony Smith loss and now this. I wonder where he's going to go from here. But crazy finish from Dustin Jacoby. Great finish for him. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the veterans getting finishes on this card. Great to see. Great to see. But moving on, Manel Kape versus Bruno Silva. In my opinion, this was my favorite fight of the night. I was talking a lot of trash on Manel Kape about how he lost aura in his last fight against Muhammad Mokaev. Can you blame me, though? They were feigning that range the whole fucking time. I know his foot was broken and things like that, but it was just a very bad look. But I guess we also got to blame Mokaev for not engaging in that fight. But either way, in this fight, Manel Kape gained every ounce of hype that he lost, and maybe even gained some more, I think. He looks so good in this fight. He's totally back. Bruno Silva, I'm not going to lie, he was looking good in the beginning too. It was competitive. Silva did land like 2 groin shots trying to get Manel out of his flow state. But Manel was just showing out. He looked so smooth. He was hitting emotes, mid-striking, just landing at will. He hit like the Rock Lee pose at one point. That was hilarious. Super badass from Manel Kape. But yeah, he just looked very, very good. His boxing was very good. Kicks were there. Defending takedowns, things like that. He just looked really, really good. Completely in his flow state. Manel was throwing a body kick and it landed on Silva's body, but part of his foot hit his cup. It looked like the ref was trying to stop the fight. He was saying, stop. But if he saw that and he was trying to split them up, he should have just went in between them and split it, called the cup shot. But Manel was already on him. He was just unloading boxing combinations, furious combinations on him. Silva was riding a 4-fight winning streak going into this fight, all finishes. So this is a great performance from Manel Kape. He called out Adesanya. That was hilarious. And he also called out Pantoja. He was literally in Dana's face up against the cage. Well, not in Dana's face, but he was up against the cage, right up by Dana, screaming at him for a title shot. Maybe they should do Kai Kara France versus Manel. You know, this fight was supposed to happen before. That's what started the whole Israel Adesanya and Manel Cop beef. But I just kind of think that'd be a heater. You know, a great title eliminator bout. Either way, I'm very curious of who they'll match him up against next. Y'all comment below who you think Manel Cap should fight next. Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo. Cub Swanson won by mixing up targets in this fight. He'd throw a jab and then a right hook to the body, or maybe he'd throw a jab overhand. Overall, he was just using the power right hand, setting that up all night. Billy Quarantillo, he was starting to somewhat get back into the fight, but he was fighting Cub's fight, you know, inside the pocket. But this is also where Billy Quarantillo does his best work, so it was kind of tricky, you know what I mean, to pick this fight in general. Overall, he was relying on his durability to get him through each round, and it's pretty crazy how durable he still is. You know, in his debut and some of his early fights, he'd really take some real bad ass beatings, and it's surprising that he could still kind of take that damage. But going into the third, Cub Swanson, he started using Billy like a heavy bag. Billy, he wasn't moving his head at all anymore. All the shots invested to the body paid off for Cub. Cub came in, he feinted twice, threw a looping left hook, and then follow up straight hand right down the pipe. Sent Billy crashing down. Nasty KO from Cub Swanson. Brutal finish. It looked like Cub debated retiring, but I kind of don't think he wants to yet, even though he probably should. He's at that point, you know what I mean? But I think they're talking about putting him against Doohoo Choi next. I don't know how y'all feel about that fight, but either way, great win for Cub Swanson. Great to see him back in winning ways and get a great finish like that on this card. Very cool to see. All right, now for the main event, Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin in this fight, he was using that bob and weave Dempsey roll style, landing jabs at will, 1-2, using hooks when closing in the distance, and he was also incorporating some body kicks too to wear on the gas tank of Colby. I think that was a great high IQ move from Joaquin. But as Buckley was closing in, he threw an uppercut right on Colby's eye, reopened the scar tissue, probably from the Usman fighter, one of his previous wars. And that was one of the main basically the main talking point of the whole fight. Obviously, that's what stopped the fight, was the cut. But when Buckley would come in to close the distance and use that bob and weave type of style, Colby would try and get a takedown off of that, but Buckley denied the first few shots, you know what I mean? Buckley hit Colby too with a mean right hook right on the guard of Colby, sent him falling down. He didn't really land flush like on Colby, but it was still powerful enough to send Colby flying down. I thought that was pretty crazy. And before the round started, I don't know if this was the second or the third, you guys let me know, but Colby was like it might have been the third. He was messing with his eye and reopened his cut. I really wish he didn't do that, because I feel like that's kind of like what made it worse. He just shouldn't have fucked with his cut on his eye. But either way, Buckley goes right for his eye. He's just peppering him right on the mush. Bow, bow. Buckley's really getting into a rhythm now. He's striking. He's moving in and out, avoiding Colby's strikes. Colby's trying to strike with him, but Buckley's just way faster. He's landing way more powerful thudding blows. Colby does get a takedown, which was very surprising, and he controlled Buckley for like a minute. Started wiping his face all over Buckley. That was pretty weird. Buckley took his time, though, got back up, used lead leg kicks, jab, power combos to continue, finish up the round, and he's covered in Colby's blood by the end of the round. Like I'm saying, though, the third round starts, same thing. Buckley's right back at it, landing at will. Bow, bow. Colby shoots, Buckley stuffs it. Body strikes, hitting him in the body. Colby has his head shoved down on the canvas, and he's just like dragging his face on the floor where the cut's just getting way too bad, I guess. And they stopped the fight. Very annoying to see. You know, I feel like we all kind of wanted to see Colby get knocked out, or just a finish, you know what I mean? We all want a finish. We're MMA fans. There was like 20 seconds left in this fight. I feel like they could have let it go on a bit longer. Come on, ma. You know? Come on. Buckley, he beat the brakes off of Colby badly. We've seen Colby cut worse in previous fights too, like I was saying earlier. The Usman fight, other fights, etc. Even this year, the Oralby fight, the BSD fight. Way worse cuts, etc. But no, Mama stepped in the ring, you know. Nanny had to stop the fight. She said, "Oh no, baby, stop the fight." Either way, though, props to Joaquin Buckley. This was a do or die version of Colby Covington. You know, this wasn't the Colby we saw in the Leon fight when that was actually for the title, you know. But Colby, he was trying out there. That was like a good version of Colby. We saw Joaquin go out and put a beating on, in my opinion. Joaquin did try to make like a cool call out by the end, and he was like, "Who do y'all want to see me fight next?" And he went like, "Leon." Everyone booed because Leon's boring. "Usman," and then that got some cheers. And then he said Bilal, and it felt like no one cheered or even cared or knew who Bilal was. That was pretty crazy. Or maybe it's just a bunch of hardcores in the fan, and they're like, "Nah, he doesn't deserve it yet." But I don't know. But I kind of hope they make the Usman fight. That'd be pretty competitive. You know, we'd see Joaquin's wrestling get tested for sure. How he gets up off the ground against a wrestler the level of Usman. You know, great fight. Or I think JDM versus Joaquin Buckley. That would be a hype fight. Two great strikers, you know, a striker's delight, as people like to say, and just a huge test for either fighter. Let me know what y'all think about the fights last night. Let me know some matchups y'all want to see next. I think in my next video I'm going to do that and match up some of the people from off this card. And just over the next month or so, since there's no cards, I'm going to be trying to pump out a lot more content. I got a lot of different ideas for my YouTube channel. Hopefully some stuff y'all will like. But yeah, y'all take care. Thank you for watching. Peace.